Welcome to Talkin VAWLS, episode number 40, special preseason basketball edition. I am JP.
I am R Main.
And we are at Talkin VAWLS _pod on Facebook and Twitter. Also on patreon.com, Talkin VAWLS _pod. We come to you each week during football season, talking about our Tennessee Vols football team. But our main and I wanted to team up and do some basketball this year because it sounds like certainly that there's a lot of excitement going on down in Knoxville with the basketball team, and we're going to do a preseason podcast here for all of our listeners and talk about the basketballs and talk about the upcoming season and the excitement that's going on down there with Rick Barnes and that basketball team. I tell you, last year was just a surprise for sure with preseason. You know, Pitt finished 13th in the SEC, and then the Vols came out and just played just awesome basketball, and you know, tied for the SEC Conference Championship, lost the tournament championship to Kentucky, but beat them twice in the regular season, and then had a heartbreaking loss to the Cinderella team in the NCAA tournament. But Armaine, what is your thoughts on last year and just the excitement that's going into the 2018-2019 season?
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm actually, it's kind of a change here. I'm sitting here with a smile on my face as the podcast starts instead of a big old scowl. Uh, but the last year it's kind of funny. The Vols last year and the Braves this year, they remind me a lot of each other. Neither one was picked to do anything. Both of them definitely exceeded expectation. I know it's not a baseball podcast, but that's my comparison I've got right now. But what Rick Barnes has done down there has been really impressive. He's definitely proven that he's probably one of the top coaches in college basketball. He has, I mean, when he's put that roster together from the beginning, it's not been full of 4 or 5 star players. But, man, they have developed talent down there. Every guy down there has gotten better along the way, and they've just continued to progress. They've continued to get better, and I'm really excited to see what they can do this year. I know the expectations are high. I think I saw their preseason number, is it 6 right now?
6, yes. Yep.
I mean, when's the last time? I don't even know if they were that high in a Bruce Pearl era preseason.
No, that's the highest preseason ranking in program history.
Yeah, and I mean, you've basically got everybody coming back. I know you lost Daniel from last year, who did some good things for them, but the whole beef of that program is back, and I thought it was big getting Admiral Schofield back as well. I don't blame him at all for testing the waters for the NBA. I mean, he had nothing to lose right there, and he made an educated decision to come back. I mean, if you're a first-round pick, you can't blame these guys for going. Not at all. But I don't think he got the feedback he wanted. And I'm excited to see what they can do this year. I'm excited to see how much more they've progressed from last year. As I think, I don't know what, I'm sure we'll discuss expectations on it, but they're high this year. And they should be with everybody coming back in the year they had last year.
Yeah, and you know, that's one thing. You know, I've been reading some stuff, and you know, been listening to some things, and people are, you know, how might the Vols handle the expectations this year? But you know, I mean, I might be totally wrong on it, but you know, I think Rick Barnes, I think he is a level-headed guy, and I think that if you've ever you know, saw a team that takes on the personality of their coach, I think that this is it. You know, you talk about the experience. I mean, you know, you've got, you know, all of their starters are either juniors or seniors. You know, you got Schofield and
Williams,
center.
Grant Williams.
Williams is a junior,
Oh,
and
you got
then
Kyle Alexander.
yes, that's who I was trying to think of, Kyle. You've got him. Those two are seniors. That they've been in the program for 4 years and everything. And then you got Grant Williams, coming in as a junior, and you got Bone, who's a junior, and Jordan Bowden, that's a junior. And then looking at the six man, I mean, Lamonte Turner. I mean, he was the SEC six man of the year last year, and probably would have started for several teams in the SEC. And he won a couple of games, when Tennessee was struggling, and he was able to hit some clutch shots. And I remember that one game. I can't exactly recall who they were playing, but he hit like 10 free throws there right towards the end of the game to ice a close game, and stuff like that, and everything. But people are saying that Tennessee won't sneak up on folks this year. But, did they really sneak up on folks last year? Yeah, they probably did for about the first month, But, I mean, after that, I mean, they were already rolling once they got into SEC play and stuff like that. I mean, UNC came to Knoxville, and, Tennessee led, the majority of that game till the last 6 or 7 minutes, and stuff like that. So, I expect that this team, I think that Barnes is one of those coaches that he's not going to allow for any kind of, we're better than this, we don't have to go out and work at it and stuff like that. So, I'm not concerned about, everybody, shooting for the Vols. I just think that they are such a deeply talented team. I mean, he could go 10 deep in the rotation easy, I think, And yes, I mean that there might be some drop off there, but there's probably not a lot of Power 5 teams or teams like that can go as deep as the Vols bench can.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're really deep. I mean, you get into the bench, like you said, Turner. I mean, how big was he at times last year? Because Bone was kind of inconsistent, I think, and I'll be curious to see if he gets more consistent. I know he got named a pretty high list. I can't remember exactly what it was right there, but
yeah, it was the Bob or Bob Cousy, or I can't remember, but it was one of those for the top point guard. I think he was the top. That there's 20 that's named, I believe, and he was one of the top 20.
Yeah, and I think he'll be big with. I mean, his speed, his ability to break it down, especially if he's on. He's a huge asset. But I mean, you look at the starting five, you're looking at more than likely it's Bone, Bowden, Schofield, Williams, and Alexander. That's a pretty stout five. And then you get into the bench, you've got Turner, you've got Derek Walker, who'll be a sophomore. He had some big games come through for him a couple times big last year. You've got Pons. I'm curious to see this guy along the way because he's just a freak athlete. Just some of the videos of his dunks and stuff. I just wonder, how much has he progressed offensively? Because I think he was pretty much dunk or bust last year, but his defense proved pretty good. I'll be interested to see John Fulkerson because when he came in his freshman year, he was a big asset to him up until he got hurt. And I don't think he's recovered. Last year, I think he still showed signs of recovering from that. And then you've got this DJ Burns kid who's a true freshman coming in who reclassified to this class. I know he was a big pickup, and I think there's a couple other guys. Jalen Johnson. I think he's got some potential to get in and help as well. He's looked pretty good at times when I've saw him. So, yeah, they could easily go 10 deep. Maybe there is some drop-off, like you said. But, I mean, if a team is shorthanded, and this is a pretty physical team as well. If you're only going 5, 6, 7 deep, this team's they're going to make you earn it. They're going to be, because Grant Williams is a bruiser in there. I mean, he's listed here at I lost it, 6'7". I almost think that's a little bit generous, but I always think it's the old Charles Barkley measurement there. But he's a bruiser inside when he wants to be. Schofield, I mean, that guy, 6'6", 241. He's a bruiser as well. And I wish Kyle Alexander could have redshirted somewhere along the way, because I think he's really come into his own the last year or two. I mean, there was some draft boards I saw last year that had him listed as a potential first-round pick. So,
yeah, I know it.
So, I mean, I don't think he's ever a guy that's going to score you 20 points, at least not on a consistent basis, but just his length and what he can do, he fits really well in this offense and with this team.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that Tennessee done so well last year is they played strong defense, and you know they led the conference in, you know, their defense, and you know that's one thing that Alexander brings for sure. Yes, you know, he's not going to score you 20 points a game, but on this team he doesn't have to, you know, because I mean you got Williams and Schofield and Bone and Turner that's going to, you know, mainly score those points for you. But you know, him around there, 6'11", you know, right there at the rim, you know, altering shots, blocking shots, you know, those type of things like that is so important. And you know, if everybody remembers, he had hurt his hip, you know, in that Sweet 16 game against Loyola Chicago, and he didn't play. And you know, you just wonder with the size that he had over those guys, what kind of impact that he could have possibly had on that game and so forth like that. But you know, one thing that is just crazy to think about this program, and you know, I mean, and you know, we all know. I mean, anybody that's a Tennessee basketball fan knows that after Bruce Pearl, you know, got fired for his misconduct and everything like that. I mean, you know, we went through a couple of seasons there with Conzo Martin, and you know, I really thought that with the talent that was on the team that we underperformed there. And then they hired Tyndall, and you know, everybody knows how that ended. You know, with him being let go because of his misconduct at what was it, Murray State he came from, I believe.
Southern Miss.
Or somewhere, yeah, there with that. But you know, I mean, whenever Barnes took over his program, I mean, it was in pretty bad shape, and for the short turnaround that he's been able to do, which I know that it's easier to do in basketball than say it is in football because of the number of players and stuff like that. But I mean, it's just amazing to think in Barnes' fourth year that he has the Vols already preseason number 6.
It is. I mean, it was a rough stretch right there, and college basketball, man, is such a shady sport right now. And you know, I get people's argument about Pearl. Well, it was just a barbecue and this and that, but it wasn't so much he had to barbecue, it's he lied about it. I get it now, after with all the stuff that's coming out, that looks like it was kind of a crock in a respect, but he knew what he was doing. He tried to cover it up. You know, he got what he got for it. And I'm with you with Conzo Martin, especially his last year. Now, I'll say this before I mention, you know, you had the petition going. I absolutely hated that. I thought that was a terrible look for Tennessee to do it, fans to do that. Start that petition that got so many signatures to bring Pearl back. Hell, he's the guy that put him in that shape by doing that. And Conzo, he wasn't Bruce Pearl, was what happened. And I thought he underachieved up till the very end, when all of a sudden when that petition came out, they started playing the way they should, because that last team he had was a good team. I mean, they had a lot of talent on that team. I think Donnie Tyndall could have done all right there, but we didn't see it long enough. I thought he was a pretty good coach, and he inherited a bad situation because most of Conzo's last team left. Either they graduated or they went to the NBA early. And so Tyndall had to sign a lot of guys late. And then Barnes kind of come into the same situation because, well, with Conzo, all his recruits that he had bolted. So that left Donnie Tyndall in a bind. And then, Barnes had to come in and try to piece together as well. And I know people at first were real hesitant about Barnes because he wasn't signing 4 and 5 star players, but man, he identified talent though. I mean, I know he's had a departure or two along the way, but what he's identified and what he's kept in the fold, I don't think we can complain about it. I mean, their player development's been top notch. I don't know of another school that's developed the way that Barnes has. I mean, yeah, it's easy to do good with a whole class full of 5 stars like some of these teams, but Barnes has developed that team with, I don't know if you look through there outside of a couple guys, it's mainly 3-star guys that he's developed. So you got to give him credit for what he's done down there. I mean, when he came in, he said that's kind of what he wanted to do was get guys in there that's going to be 3 and 4 year players, and that strategy's paid off so far. Now he's starting to get some 5 stars, some 4 stars in the fold. So I'm really excited to see where this program's going forward.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the sky is the limit now. I mean, that was, you talk about him being able to get these players and get them better and progress and everything. I mean, that was one thing that 5-star that signed, that I don't think he signed yet, but he, committed to them for the 2019 class. I mean, that's, that was words right out of his mouth, is how that Barnes was able to get these kids and develop them. That's what he was excited about, and that was one of the things that lured him to Barnes, was the way that he was able to get these players and see the progression from their freshman year to their junior year, those type of things like that. Now, whether or not that James will be there for 3 years, that's hard to say, but that's one thing with Barnes. I mean, I think he's made it known that that he's not going to get into the dirtiness that is the recruiting world of college basketball. He said that he's not going to do that, and that's why that a lot of times that he's not after these 5-star players, because he's going to pick and choose, because he's just not going to be that type that just goes down the road and gets in with these handlers and these AAU teams that these guys are basically just using these kids for money and stuff, and getting them to go to these other schools and everything. And if there's any any fans of any other teams listening out there, the blue bloods of college basketball, you're all kidding yourself if you don't think that you all are not paying these players. I mean, it's just there's just no way that these kids are just picking these schools just to be picking them. They're picking these schools because they're getting some kind of benefit out of it, other than a scholarship, for sure.
Well, I mean, you look at this way. I mean, they found all kinds of stuff with Kansas. A lot of these Adidas schools are the ones right now. It may be a good thing Tennessee got away from Adidas, but
Switched, yeah.
a lot of these Adidas schools right now are getting busted for that. I mean, North Carolina, my goodness, how are they not in some kind of trouble with all the stuff they found on them along the way? All these fake classes and all that crap that they're taking. I don't know that I would I mean, maybe they do. I don't. Duke. I don't know. I think Krzyzewski's above that. Maybe he's not, but it's. I mean, is anything really going to surprise you in college basketball anymore? It's gotten so dirty, like you said, with handlers, with AAU, and you and I were talking about it before we went on the air. I really think this G League maybe the G League will clean it up a little bit. Maybe, some of these guys that are going for a year, they're going to school for half of a semester and then not even going to classes after that. Maybe that'll get them out of there. I would like to see a rule implemented like baseball where you either go to the draft or you go to school for 3 years on it. And which some of the baseballs got me kind of confused because I know there's times guys have gone a couple years and then went to the draft. I'm not sure how all that works, but I would like to see something where you're either going to the NBA or you're going to school for 3 years at that point. And I think that would clean a lot of it up then.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure. Does this new transfer rule that applies to football, is this applying for basketball as well? Do you know?
I'm not sure on that. I don't know if it does or not. Now, from my understanding, that they have that grad transfer rule, because I think that's how Kentucky ended up with that transfer from Stanford. That's that senior from Stanford, that center that they've got this year.
Right. Well,
his name.
Yeah.
Travis something or.
Yeah, I know who
Travis
you're talking about. I mean, I know John Daniel last year was a grad transfer. And, and Tennessee at one point had the guy from Richmond who was a grad transfer committed. I don't know what happened there, and he ended up going to Louisville.
Yeah, there was something about trying to get him admitted into UT. I thought it was crazy, too, because you think of a grad transfer student wouldn't have any problems, but supposedly there was something about trying to get him in school, they said. So
yeah, I don't know. That was kind of a strange situation. I thought he was in the fold, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's going to Louisville.
Yeah,
right there. So
yeah, but from what everybody was saying, that Tennessee wanted him. It wasn't the fact that they got cold feet at the last minute or anything like that, but for whatever reason that they just couldn't get him in school. So with that, but let's turn our attention to the schedule. Let's talk about it. I mean, preseason number 6, but Tennessee has a pretty good out of conference schedule. And, I really think that the SEC this year is going to be probably even deeper than it was last year. The conference got 8 teams in the tournament, so, they could possibly get that many or more in there this year. I mean, there's a lot of influx of freshmen that's coming in, talented freshmen on some of these teams, not just Kentucky, but I think LSU got a couple of 5-stars, and I'm pretty sure Vandy got two or three 5-stars. They said that recruiting class that they got is off the charts.
Yeah, they did, and you got to think it's going to be a stronger conference for sure. I mean, I think just kind of looking through the schedule, I'm looking through the conference. I'm sorry. I think Georgia. They got Crean. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Crean from Indiana. He's all right. Florida, they're going to be probably strong. Arkansas was tough last year. I don't know what Alabama's brought in. I know they lost Sexton last year, who was a big part of that team. I mean, he was pretty impressive. Like I said, Vandy had a great recruiting class. I don't know about South Carolina, what they've got, or A&M. I think Missouri, because they had. Well, but Porter, he didn't play most of the year, so they're used to playing without him.
Yeah, but they lost his brother last week too. He tore his ACL, I believe.
Oh, so, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Well, his brother is out now too. So yeah,
good grief.
I would say that they would be probably towards the back of the pack. I think them, probably Georgia, South Carolina, Ole Miss. I think that those teams are probably the ones that are, possibly looking towards the back of the pack. But, I think LSU, Mississippi State, Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky, I think those are the 5 that were ranked in the preseason top 25.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Kentucky top. Well, they're up pretty
Or
high,
2.
2 or 3, 2.
2,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I mean, with Kentucky, the thing with them, they roll these recruits in every year, but you just gotta wonder about their chemistry, because it's not a Tennessee where these guys have played together 3 and 4 years. I don't know. I mean, you talk about the non-conference schedule. I mean, there's Georgia Tech, who they've not been that great lately, but they've had some good teams in the past. They're playing Louisville in that NIT season tip-off, and if they win that, they'll play the Kansas or Marquette. You got to think probably Kansas on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, Marquette's a pretty strong team normally. Gonzaga, I think's ranked pretty high.
Yeah,
Preseason.
they're preseason number 3 in AP and 4 in the coaches, I believe.
Okay, I was thinking they were pretty high. And Gonzaga, Tennessee's played them quite a bit over the last 10 years or so, and not really fared. They've always been pretty good games. I think Tennessee may have beat them
one time
up in Washington. That was, I know I think Chisholm was still there at the time. At Memphis, that's going to be I don't know what Memphis will have. I mean, you got to think they'll have some talent. I don't know what kind of a coach Hardaway will be. I mean, he pretty much came right from high school to college, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or maybe the AAU. Wake Forest. I mean, Wake Forest is one of those that, have had some strong teams over the year. I don't think they've been down here recently. And then they play West Virginia in that SEC Big 12 Challenge. That'll probably be a tough game as well. West Virginia's had some pretty good teams there. So it's a strong schedule. It's a strong out-of-conference schedule for sure.
Yeah. They're preseason 13, West Virginia is. So, with that. But, I mean, I counted up 31 potential regular season games is what I counted up. So, what was Tennessee last year? What did we finish the regular season? 25-9, I believe it was.
Yeah,
25-7, something like that.
It was pretty good. And
I think it was 25-9, and I believe they went 13-5 in the conference with that. So, what kind of, looking at that schedule, what do you say, Armaine? What kind of preseason record prediction, regular season, are you looking at there?
Let's see here. I don't really want to go game for game. That might take too long. I don't know what Louisville's got this year. I mean, Louisville's been in turmoil the last couple years, and I think that's probably hurt them a little bit. Kansas, I mean, if they end up playing Kansas, that'll be a tough game. Gonzaga is a tough one. I wonder if some of these teams like Eastern Kentucky, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, I don't know much about Louisiana, the old Raging Cajuns there. I don't know. I haven't looked enough to see what these guys did last year. Maybe some of them were tournament teams or pretty strong in their conferences. Goodness, I'm trying to see. So they played Missouri twice. That'll be interesting when Konzo comes to town. I'm curious to see the reaction he gets. Florida twice, Kentucky twice, Vanderbilt twice. At Auburn, the end of the season, Mississippi State at home.
Yeah, that's a tough schedule.
It is, and I don't know if I'd say similar to last year. I would think they could improve on last year, actually, whether they do or not. But I don't know if 30 wins is too much right there. I think 30 may be a little bit much, but if you look 25 or more, I think is definitely possible. Again, I don't think well, we shouldn't be coming in worried about a bubble team or anything like that.
Oh no, no.
I mean,
Looking at that,
based on that, I mean, I think by the end of the year, you should be looking at probably a 2 seed, and who knows, maybe even a 1, depending on how things go.
yeah, you know, I was looking over that schedule, and I'm like you. I'm not sure what some of these out of conference teams have, but I wouldn't imagine that if Tennessee is what we think that they can be and what they're capable of, I wouldn't imagine that Louisiana Lafayette, and Tennessee Tech, Samford, and Eastern Kentucky is going to give us any kind of trouble. You wouldn't think so. Georgia Tech, even Louisville, because like you said, I mean they've been total chaos up there and everything. But I'm thinking Vols regular season, we got 31 games, 25-6.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about. Probably, if we could find a way to finish, 14-4 in conference or something like that, and then, who knows? If personally, here's what I would like to see. Even if we don't win the regular season championship, I would love to see this team and this program win the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
I don't think that Tennessee has won that tournament since, what was it, 1977, I believe it was.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and I know
I mean,
they played for the championship.
40 years or more.
Yeah, they played for the championship. I remember back, golly, it was back in the, it was when Allen Houston was there. Remember they made that improbable run and got to the championship when they hadn't won but like a handful of games that year.
Yeah.
And then they lost in the championship one time when Pearl was there. He lost to Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, yeah.
And then, of course, they lost last year to Kentucky. But, yeah, I think that would be a big deal as well to see them do that. And, like you said, even which is bigger really anymore, the tournament or the conference itself. I think the conference itself, it's kind of lost sometimes. And personally, I wish they'd go to a point where winning the conference regular season meant more than it does, especially for these smaller teams. I mean, if you got like ETSU over here, they can win their conference, losing the conference tournament, and they don't make it. I think that's kind of cruel.
It's tough, yeah.
I think you're rewarding 3 days over a whole season, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
I never have. But, I mean, looking over the non-conference, I think it's, especially you get West Virginia at home, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech at home. You need to take care of business at home. Louisville, I think you need to win that one. I don't know. I mean, you got to think Kansas is going to be strong, or even Marquette. I expect Kansas in that second game there if Tennessee takes care of business.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a huge early season matchup because Kansas is preseason number 1.
Yeah, I mean, and then, are they preseason number 1?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't even looked at the polls. So, yeah, you got to think they'll be playing Kansas, and Kansas will be strong to play. Gonzaga 2 weeks later. I mean, that's a preseason number 3.
Game.
Yeah, and I mean, at Memphis is not going to be easy.
Oh, no.
At all. It never is, and it won't be now either. So, I think worst case, you get out non-conference with 3 losses right there. And then in conference, along the way, anytime you go on the road, anything could happen and slip up. Florida, I don't know. They've had pretty good luck with Florida for some reason for a long time. And, some at Vanderbilt, I mean, that's always a tough place to play.
That's always a tough
little screwy gym they've got.
Yeah.
At South Carolina, at A&M. I mean, anytime you play at Kentucky, you're normally playing 8-on-5. up there. So at LSU, I mean LSU's been down. They'll be better, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think 14-4, 15-3 in conference, finishing at Auburn. I mean, you got to think Auburn's going to be pretty strong again as well. Seems like Pearl's building a pretty good program down there. It's just a matter of when he blows it up himself at some point. Which I thought he had last year,
Yeah, I know it.
and somehow, I mean, that's
Somehow
Auburn
he's.
for you. Auburn figures out a way around all of it
Yeah,
down there. We know
I
that in
know.
football for sure. But I mean, if you get to that point, if you go win 14 or 15 games in conference, 11 out. I mean, that's 25. Like I said, 25-6. That's a pretty good mark right there. I mean, it's hard to be upset about that.
Oh
You're
yeah,
getting up
I
there
mean,
28, 29 wins. I mean, my goodness, that's
yeah, yeah, that's an awesome season. But we all know that college basketball, the real season begins at tournament. I mean, this is a tournament sport. Whatever you do in the regular season, yes, that's going to get you in the tournament. But all that matters is those 3 weeks there in March and the 1st of April. That's when it matters. And so realistically, I think that this team, if they perform the way that they're capable of, I I think that this team is probably a 3 seed at the absolute worst. And personally, I think that anything less than an Elite 8 appearance is going to be considered a uh, underachieving year.
I think, yeah. I mean, I kind of tend to agree. I think definitely Sweet 16. You've at least got to get that far. But based on everything that's coming back, you basically got everybody back. And I kind of agree with you. I mean, I think they're set up to be a team that can make a run along the way. And like I said, though, I mean, it's tournament sport. I mean, that tournament makes or breaks the season a lot of
Oh yeah,
times. I mean, you look at what Virginia did last year. I mean, they had an awesome season, and look what happened.
and
I
the
mean, hey, everybody got
biggest
free.
upset in history. Yeah,
Biggest upset in history. I mean, we all got free Little Caesars out of it if we showed up and stayed in line for it. So I think, I think for them to get deep this year, a couple things I want to see. I think Williams. I mean, man, he did so much, but I think what's been missing from him is he really doesn't have much of an outside game.
outside. Yeah,
I would like to see him develop, a little 10 to 15 foot jumper. I don't necessarily need to see him out there shooting threes. I think if he wants to make it NBA one day, he needs to develop that outside game. But if you can get him, a 10 to 15 foot jumper going, that would that'd be big for him. I mean, Schofield he really came in his own at the end of the year. I mean, he was
he did.
big
Yeah,
right there. He was pretty solid most of the season, but he took it to another level in the tournament.
yeah,
Bones got to be a little more consistent. He'd have a great game, and then he'd have an off game right there. And I think when he's on, this team is really at their best, just because he's really fast. He can push the tempo. He's a pretty good defensive guard as well. Bowden, I mean, I think Bowden would be he's probably their main shooter along the way. But
him and Turner.
yeah, Turner, man, he can shoot. I mean, when he's on,
Yeah, yeah, he can strip the nets.
he can. And one thing I like about him, I think in years past, was how many Tennessee teams would see that couldn't shoot free throws.
I know it exactly.
And this is a good free throw shooting team, and that's big, especially when you get to tournaments, because you've got to be able to knock free throws down. And I just think Barnes, his in game coaching is just I used to get aggravated if Pearl had an inbounds play, you knew it was going. He was not an inbounds guy by any means, but
Yeah.
Barnes, man, he can draw up some good plays and
Yeah.
stuff. But be interesting to see. And I like I said, I kind of tend to agree. I think Elite Eight, and I think it could be a Final Four team. I think I've heard some people a long way thinking that Tennessee could win it all this year. Whether
Oh, I
they
mean,
can
I
is another
definitely think it's
story,
possible.
but I mean, based on everything that's coming, I mean, you've got basically everybody back on
Yeah.
it. I don't want to put
I
that
mean,
expectation there just because. I mean, they've never won a championship basketball in men's, but who knows, man? It's a crazy sport come March. And if you get hot at the right time, I mean, we've seen it many times. Teams get hot and go on that run and win it. That's
yeah.
definitely when you want to be hot, is come March.
Well, there's no doubt about it that there is a ton of excitement for Tennessee basketball. I mean, there's a lot of folks that are, saying when this football season in, let's get to the basketball, and stuff like that. And that's not something that you normally hear with Tennessee fans, but it definitely is with the struggles that the football team has been having. This is something that the Tennessee fans can look forward to, and get excited about. And I think it's great. I think they got a great coach down there, and hopefully, he's in his early 60s or mid. What was he, about 63, I think. So, I mean, who knows how much longer that he's going to coach and stuff like that. But he definitely has really turned that program around, and I think that of all of the bad hires that university's done over the last 10 years or so, I don't know if they lucked into this one or what, but they got this hire right for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wonder too. If that one just fell into their lap at the right time. I mean, it was kind of the
Yep.
perfect storm. Barnes had left Texas, still wanted to coach, and hey, he gets to come back pretty close to home right there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, I mean, that's you stack up the hires of the last 10 years, that's far and away the best hire Tennessee's made. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
whether they lucked
It's not
into
even
it.
close.
No, it's not. And I've even seen people go as far to say, well, Tennessee's a basketball school now. Well, which Tennessee's never going to be a basketball school. Doesn't matter what happens. I mean, that's just football's the king down there. It always will be. But you definitely see more now with the struggles of football. People will be fired up when basketball starts, and I think you'll see a lot of sellouts down there this year. I think it'll get back to a level. And last
Oh
year
yeah.
that place was electric at times. I mean,
Yeah.
and you got to give Barnes credit. He's done it the right way. He's done it his way, and he's proven he's not an idiot down there. I mean, I know when he was first hired, and some of the recruiting class he got, people's like, well, we'll be putting the curtains back up before too long. No, there's not going to be curtains going up anytime soon down there. It's hopefully some
No. Hopefully
more
there'll be some
banners will be
banners.
going up. Yeah, some banners
That's
will be
right.
going up, hopefully. But, I mean,
That's
just
right.
really happy for what he's done down there. And I'm just, especially if he starts rolling in some of these 5 stars on a regular basis, I mean, the sky's the limit down there. He's got the program on solid footing. And, getting James in the fold. Let's see, how many commits? I think they've got 3 commits for next year. The wing out of New York looks like a pretty strong player, and then the Pember kid out of Knoxville.
Out Knoxville. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like. I like what I've seen out of him as far as what it seems he could bring to the table.
Yeah.
There.
Well, and we were talking about Burns earlier. That they signed this year. I mean, that's where this program is right now, because they're saying basically that he's going to redshirt. Who would have thought that Tennessee would bring a 4-star top 100 player in and be able to redshirt him?
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost unheard of, even in college basketball these days. nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you
I
just
mean,
look at like Duke and that, that signing class they've got coming in is considered one of the best in history. I mean, there's none of those guys go red shirt at Duke.
oh no,
I mean, if guys aren't red shirting at Duke or Kentucky or North Carolina, like I said, it's really unheard of for a top 100 guy to come in red shirt in Knoxville. But that's just credit to what they built down there and just building
yeah,
depth. I don't know. I mean, I
and
think they can play. Is it up to 9 games in red shirt?
I'm not for sure. I don't know in basketball.
They can play a certain amount. It may not be 9, but I mean they can play them in some of these games if they wanted to. Lenore Ryan or somebody like that. I mean, you got to think you'll see him in against Tusculum as well when they play Wednesday night.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean that just tells you where the program's gone. That he can redshirt, and then when you lose a couple of these guys next year, he'll be ready to step in there and play meaningful minutes. So that's a testament to what they've done down there right now, and I mean it's just funny how it all happened, really, with some of the just bonehead hires down there over the years, and just how things have worked out, and for a while I thought that basketball program was really snake bitten after Pearl Conzo comes in and really underachieved down there up and it took a petition to get them going, and unfortunately, and then the Tyndall year. I mean, that's one you've got to want to forget right there as well. And then they hit gold with Barnes, and
yeah,
and we'll see.
they definitely did for sure.
Yeah, and
They
he seems
definitely did.
happy to be there. He's not just riding this out till something better comes along. I mean, I really think he would
Oh
be
yeah.
content retiring there, which
Oh,
is a
I would
big
definitely
thing.
think
I
so.
mean, I
Yeah.
think the only way he leaves down there is either he retires or I don't see him getting fired
Tennessee.
anytime soon.
No, no, I wouldn't imagine that happening. Of course, you never know about some of the boneheaded decisions that university's made, but no, I couldn't imagine that would happen for sure.
Well, no, I mean if they're letting Warlick continue, which I don't keep up the Lady Vols much, but I know they've underachieved a lot the last few years. But and
Yeah.
Fulmer's pretty loyal to people. I mean
Oh yeah.
that was his downfall pretty much. So Barnes, I think Barnes just got a new contract as well. Is that right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not sure the years on it, but he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and he seems to.
No.
I would say Texas kind of. I don't know if it burned. I wouldn't say it burned him out because he come in full of piss and vinegar. It seems like, but it just seemed like it was a total rejuvenation for him to come to Knoxville and what he's done. And it seems like he's just loving it down there.
Well, and I mean, we often see that. People get burned out. With their jobs and all of that kind of stuff. So a lot of times a change of scenery is good. And I mean, yeah, Barnes didn't win a national championship down there, but I think he took them to 17 NCAA tournaments or something like that. What, 20 years or something? I mean, it's something like that. So I mean, he definitely had a strong program down there, but probably just. I guess the fact that he wasn't able to bring a national championship, that probably forced him out down there. But we will definitely take him for sure. We will definitely take him in Knoxville. There's no doubt about that. Armaine, is there anything else that you want to add to the preseason basketball's Talkin VAWLS preview
No, I
show?
don't think so. I mean, I'm ready for him to get going. It's we've dealt with aggravation after aggravation in football, and I've always been a UT basketball supporter. I mean, this goes back to when, golly, even when I was young, old Wade Houston days of winning a handful of games a year. Still,
Yep. Kevin O'Neill, remember him?
Yeah, Kevin O'Neill. I mean, Kevin O'Neill, he could recruit. He just couldn't. His brand just
But
wasn't.
they'd score like 38 points a game. I mean, that's what they'd average, like 38 points a game. I mean, it was horrible offense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you went from him to. And Kevin O'Neill's problem was not recruiting. He recruited lights out down there. I mean, he had some. They had some talent down there around that time, and that, it progressed into Jerry Green.
Yeah.
Jerry Green had some stacked teams, but he underachieved with them, blew games and tournaments, and then we went through old Buzzball, good old Buzzball. I mean, turned out Pearl did pretty good with Buzz's players down there, and I kind of wondered after Pearl if Tennessee could get back to that level again, because he did take them to a high level, and had he not gotten in trouble, I just wonder where that program would have went. One thing I didn't like I thought he was getting away from his style a little bit towards the end. He was going more slow down. I don't think that was his style or what have you. But, I mean, I really did. I wondered how long it would be. I just expected to see him kind of middle of the pack for a while. But sometimes lightning strikes, and
it definitely has.
Yeah, thankfully it has. And I'm ready to get him going. I'm ready to see him get going, and we'll see what it is. I think Thompson-Bolin's probably going to be a tough ticket to get this year. And
yeah, I would say definitely for the conference games and those big out of conference games that they got, that are coming to Thompson-Boling Arena. But Tuesday night, November 6th, basketball's open up the season. Lenore Ryan, 7 o'clock p.m. at Thompson-Boling Arena. I would imagine that, even though that that ought to be a cakewalk, I would imagine that the fans will come out, and I would expect a great turnout for the season opener for sure.
Yeah, and I remember, especially with that high. I remember back. I used to go to. I hadn't been to a game in a couple years, but I remember back. We went down the weekend. I think it was 05 when Pearl took over. First game was ETSU at home. No expectations on it, and man, we went to the game. Man, that place was rocking. It was a lot of fun. That whole year was fun, and I think it's kind of getting back to that again, where I expect that Thompson-Bolin's going to be rocking. I mean, it's a big home court advantage.
Oh, that's an awesome arena. I mean, it is.
It is.
We went down there last year for the Ole Miss game, and I mean, even that, I mean, we won by 30 points, I believe. And I mean, that place was rocking then.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, golly, some of the times, especially when you hear somebody go down the lane and just dunk the crap out of one. I mean, golly, the roof comes off that place down there. And I hope to make it down to some this year and catch the games.
I can always say that my fondest memory of Tennessee basketball going to a game, I actually went to the game in 2006 when they came back and beat Texas when they were down 20 points at halftime against Rick Barnes and Kevin Durant.
Oh, sweet!
And that was the game that Lofton hit that 35-footer over top of Durant with about 15 seconds left. I mean, that place was unreal. That was an awesome basketball game.
I guess my claim to fame on it, I went when they beat Kansas, when Kansas come in ranked number 1. We come up and my wife come up and got us tickets. Well, I figured that'd be a good one to go watch. And that time, that's when they'd had those suspensions. I can't remember who all was out at the time, but they were looking at about a 7 or 8 man rotation at best then. And some of the key players were out then, and you kind of expected Kansas would come in and handle them, but man, that place was awesome that day. I mean, they laid it on. I can't remember what they beat them, but at the end, they had it in check there. So that was probably the best one I've been to. But I've been to a few Kentucky games. Unfortunately, Kentucky's won every time I've been down here to see them.
Well, you don't need to go anymore then. You just need to stay at the house.
Yeah, I kind of said that, and that's kind of the same with Georgian football. Every time I've gone to see them play Georgian football, they've lost. So I just don't go back to Georgia games anymore.
It seems like any of the football games that I go to anymore that they lose. So
yeah, I think the only one I've been to in the last, I don't know how many years they've won, was Battle at Bristol. Before that, it was Dooley's first year when they drilled Ole Miss at home. His first year.
Ole Miss, yeah, I was there. Yeah. I'm actually going Saturday against Charlotte. I hope that's not a bad sign. Well, that's going to do it for the Talkin Vols basketball podcast preseason. If you guys listening out there, if you all want to hear some more basketball, leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about the basketball team this year. What are your expectations, and what we plan on doing during the while football season's going on is we're going to hit on talk about basketball for probably 5 or 10 minutes during the football podcast each week, and then once football season ends, our plan is Armaine and I are going to do a weekly basketball podcast and talk about the prior games from the previous week, and then hit on the upcoming games during the basketball season. So appreciate everybody listening, and we'll be looking forward to an exciting basketball season. That'll do it for tonight, and I will steal Boogie's line, "Go Big Orange."
Jack Kerouac, he drank himself to death in New England, and I'd like to take his hand and say, Jack, man, it's okay. Now he's gone, and we're left to move on without him. Songs howl like being poets at an arcade, soaking moonlit falls on broken past this inundated orb that we call home. And it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.